we're basically just going to give you an overview of when we say asset protection, what that means. And it could mean many, many different things. I remember when I was in college and taking a course, and I was interested in asset protection way back in the 90s, way before I went to law school. And I took an asset protection course, and it was about protect protecting real like brick and mortar apartment complexes as asset protection. So it was more from an insurance standpoint than it was from what I was interested in. And that's basically building documents or building a fortress around your assets to protect them from lawsuits. So asset protection means many things to many different people. But for our purposes today, we're talking about protecting your personal and business assets from lawsuits, bankruptcy, creditor claims, divorces, anything like that. We want to build a fortress around those assets so you won't lose them to litigation. So we're going to get into that. We're going to get into some of the primary things that we do in order to build an asset protection program. We're going to get into that. We're going to get more detailed into what can we do aside from those basic fundamentals of asset protection and get into more advanced things like the cowboy cocktail, which is not my phrase. I got that phrase from a legal conference in Colorado about 10 years ago, and they were using the phrase there because cowboy comes from the idea that the state of Wyoming has codified into law protections for assets, business assets as well as personal assets. And so it's built out of Wyoming. And so therefore they get the cowboy label there. Now I've taken my liberties with that cowboy cocktail and I've extended it offshore, whereas we do business offshore as well to protect assets outside the jurisdiction of the U.S. And I've phrased that Caribbean cocktail. So I have a little fun with it, as you might recognize. But in all seriousness, we've done a lot of work at setting the groundwork as far as with local authorities, local attorneys, local bankers, local politicians, and local legislators to let them know what we are doing in country. They know that we are in country. We are filling out all of the necessary IRS paperwork and everything to do that, move assets legally, and that they will protect them as long as there's no criminal element to us moving them. And believe me, I vet my clients very carefully, so I would never move a client with some type of criminal intent. So we don't have to worry about that. If we end up in an offshore jurisdiction, believe me, you're going to be legitimate and you're going to have the protection of the local authorities. So with that being said, we're going to jump right into it. I'm going to do my best to keep these short and precise, to the point, and move on. I don't want to give you guys a bunch of filler here. So I want to keep it meaty and lean here. So with that being said, we're going to move to the next slide. Thanks, guys.